right. Well, Casey, we'll go ahead and get started. We'll probably have more people roll on as we get going. But welcome everyone again to another AgVOLs webinar. We're very excited to have you. This is our fourth one, and they've really been great. If you guys were on last month with FSA, we had so many good questions. So please make sure to get your questions ready today as well, because we have Miss Casey Troop. She is with the Tennessee Department of Agriculture. She does a lot of different things with them, but one of the things that she focuses on is veteran resources and content, and she kind of runs the veteran side of the Tennessee Department of Agriculture. So I'm sure you guys have seen her at many different events, but we're going to let her kind of walk through the different resources TDA has. So without further ado, Casey, I'll go ahead and pass it to you.
Thank you, Erin. And I want to thank Charlie too. I know he had to teach that Master Gardener class tonight, but for inviting me to be here with y'all tonight and share the resources that we have. Like Erin said, I'm Casey Troop. I'm a business consultant in our business development division at TDA. I do have many roles. I cover agritourism, beginning farmers, wineries, and then also farmer veterans, and a few other things here and there as they come up and are needed. So I'm a great resource for your starting place and your sounding board. And we're going to talk tonight about a bunch of different resources that we have, and then also share some contact information for folks on our team that are more specialized in different sectors of agriculture that would also be of assistance to y'all. I will probably turn my camera off just to help with internet. I wanted y'all to see my face as I introduce myself, but once we get into the PowerPoint, I'm going to try to save some internet there, and so we can get some good sound. So we'll go. See. All right. So tonight we're going to be talking about a Department of Agriculture overview, real briefly, all of the divisions that we have at the department, and then we're going to dive deeper into business development and the resources that we have within our division. We're going to also talk about Homegrown by Heroes and Pick Tennessee products as marketing platforms available to Tennessee veterans. And then we'll talk about grants. We'll talk heavily about TAP and then AEF and AgTrack, and then briefly about Specialty Crop Block Grant. And then we're going to finish out sharing our Farmer Veteran Toolkit that we have. Real quick, if you're not familiar with the Department of Agriculture, our vision is to ensure agriculture and forestry are the leading industries in Tennessee, and our mission is to serve, support, and promote agriculture and forestry for our state. We are made up of 5 major divisions: administration and grants. That's going to be the commissioner's office, public affairs, legislative connections, those kinds of things come out of administration and grants. Our forestry division is there. They do a lot of things with forest land management, wildfire fighting, and just anything involving Tennessee forests. They even go out of state and help fight wildfires in other states as well when they're needed. We have our Consumer and Industry Services division as well. That's going to be the regulatory arm of the department. Any permitting, licensing that needs to happen goes through that side of the department. And then we have Animal Health. That's pretty much what you think it sounds like. All of our animal health, our state veterinarian's office is in there, and they have a lot of great resources that help manage diseases that animals might get and the spread of those and mitigation of any risk involving that. And then our business development division, which I am part of, and we do different business development tasks. We do one-on-one consultations with folks. We do industry-wide development. We work with producer groups, and we provide grants as well. So real quick, before we dive into business development, these are the main phone numbers for the other divisions across the Department of Agriculture. So if you ever need to get a hold of those, you can call those numbers. You can email the main line and they will direct it to the right person to help you. You can also always reach out to me as well. I'm very connected with the rest of the department. And if it's not an area or a question that I'm able to answer, I know who to get you in contact with. So business development, we have 3 main things that we focus on in our division. Our business consultants, which I'm going to share on the next slide, the rest of our staff and our team that's available to assist you. We work with individual businesses, doing one-on-one consultations with them. We work on industry-wide development. We provide financial assistance through our grants and just help people walk through their goals and their operation and making sure they're aware of all of the great resources from our industry partners as well. Then we have a Tennessee Ag Enhancement Program team. This is our kind of our flagship grant cost share program that we have at the department. And we're going to talk heavily about this program tonight. And then an area we're not going to focus on too much, but is part of our division, is our market news reporters. And they're at the various livestock sales across the state, grading cattle and other livestock and creating reports about what's going on at those livestock sales. So this is our current team. Our assistant commissioner, Matthew Wade, recently retired, and we are still in the process of getting a new assistant commissioner. So hopefully we'll have that person in the next few weeks in place. But this is the rest of our team. Sarah Botnowick in the top left corner. She is the director of Pig Tennessee Products. Kristen handles all of our communications and helps us with press releases and social media, getting the word out about our programs. Mike Brown is our food manufacturing consultant. So if you're thinking about doing any value-added processing with your food, canning, any sort of food manufacturing as well, Mike Brown is going to be an excellent resource for you. Then we have David Newman in the bottom left. He is our forestry consultant. So if you have anything related to forestry that you need, like a forestry business side, you can reach out to Dave. Jacob Tipton is probably another one that a lot of you might be interested in connecting with. He is our livestock consultant. So anything livestock related, Jacob is going to be a great resource. Rachel Sullivan manages our grants for us. So we're going to be talking about AEF and AgTrack and Specialty Crop Block Grant, and she helps administer all of those. And then jumping over to the other side of the screen, we have Christina Slater. She's our international trade consultant. So if anybody's interested in exporting their product out of Tennessee to other countries, Christina has resources that help small businesses compete on the global stage. Then myself, and then down here at the bottom, we have Rob Thomas. He's in charge of our market news reporters, and Jan is in charge of the Tennessee Ag Enhancement Program. So first, I want to talk about Pig Tennessee Products tonight. This is our free branding program and marketing platform that connects consumers to producers. We currently have over 3,100 listings on our Pig Tennessee Products directory. It is free to sign up and be a part of this program. You would go to our website, which is pigtnproducts.org. It recently got an update and a fresh look to it. This is a picture of the old website, so go to the website and check out the new look it has. And on here, you can find any ag product that you are looking for if you are a consumer looking for those products. So it's broken down through what type of product it is. There's farmers markets listed on here. Agritourism is also included. And it's really a consumer-facing site to help consumers find local producers like yourself that are close to them and have the products that they're looking for. So you will apply directly from the main website. You'll see apply now in the top right. It only takes about 5 to 7 minutes to fill out an application, and then it gets delegated out to one of the consultants on our team based off of what type of products you're offering. So if you're a food manufacturer and you're doing those kinds of products, Mike's going to get your application to review. If you're agritourism, it's going to come to me. Livestock will come to Jacob, and so on. And if we're familiar with you, we typically just review and make sure everything looks good on the application, make sure the links to your website are working, your social media are working, and then we will approve it. If we're not familiar with you and we haven't talked before, we usually give you a call just to learn more about your operation, make sure you're aware of all the resources we have, and then we approve your application from there. So this is an example of 2 different listings that are on our website. So it provides an opportunity for you to give a description of your operation. You can put whatever you like in that section. We can link to your website. There's links to your social media, your email and your phone number. If you would like your physical address posted on the website, you can. You can also request that the physical address of your operation is not listed. So say you're only planning to sell at farmers markets and you're not planning to have people come on site to the farm and you don't want your address out there on the website, there is an option through the application to mark that you don't want your address visible. And then there's a section to list out the different services or products that you offer. I do want to point out, you'll see on Double JB Farms, the Homegrown by Heroes logo. We're going to talk about what that is next. There is the option to add that logo to your listing if you're a member of that program. We also have a logo for Tennessee Milk that you'll see on the Nash Family Creamery listing. And then there is also one for Certified Organic. If your operation is Certified Organic, we can add that logo for you. Oh, Homegrown by Heroes is a branding program for veterans. It is run nationally through the Farmer Veteran Coalition. And so this program runs across all 50 states. And we partnered with them several years ago to create this merge logo. So farmer veterans in Tennessee who want to use both logos and share both stories of being a veteran produced product and a Tennessee produced product didn't have to take time to think about which logo they were going to pick, where they were going to display both at, and that just takes up more space on a product label and more effort of putting both logos on everything. So we made this combined logo so it's easy to share that story of being both a veteran and a Tennessee produced product. In order to use this merged logo, you must be a member of both organizations. So you must be a member of Pick Tennessee Products, and you also must be a member of Homegrown by Heroes. And in order to be a member of Homegrown by Heroes, you must first join the National Farmer Veteran Coalition. So step one would be to get your membership in the Farmer Veteran Coalition. And then once your membership is set up with them, you can then apply to be part of their Homegrown by Heroes program. You would do that at fvc.org/HBH. And then you would also apply separately to Pick Tennessee Products membership. Once you have both approvals from both programs, you could reach out to me, and my email will be at the last slide of this presentation as well. So you would just reach out to me and I can verify your Pick Tennessee Products membership, and then you would share with me the letter of approval from the Farmer Veteran Coalition sharing that you were approved to be Homegrown by Heroes, and then I send you the logo to use. I want to pause for a minute and see if there was any questions about Pick Tennessee Products or Homegrown by Heroes before we go on to the next section.
I had posted the question, what about a multifaceted farm that maybe does agritourism and eggs or value-added items for farmers market?
Are you asking as far as your listing on Pick Tennessee Products, how that would work?
Right.
Yeah, so in the application, it'll ask you everything that your farm offers. So you can mark that you do agritourism, and then it'll bring a drop-down menu up of the different agritourism offerings you could have, and you just check any that apply to you. Then you would also, as you work through the application, you would also select that you are a fruit and vegetable producer, and then you would select from the drop-down menu all of the different produce items that you produce, and you would go through that, so on and so forth. If you sell at a farmer's market, it gives you that option to select which farmer's market you sell at, and then your listing will have all of that together in one spot when they get to your page. But you will be able to be found on the website in all of those areas. So if somebody is looking for agritourism and they click on agritourism, it's going to bring it up by region and then by county. So let's say your farm is in Rutherford County. In Rutherford County, you'd be listed under agritourism. And when they click on your farm name, it'll bring up that page and everything you offer will be listed there. But if someone's looking in the fruit and vegetable section of the website under Rutherford County, you're going to be listed there again as well. And they could click on your page and it brings you back to show everything that farm offers.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
All right, Casey, slow on the uptake. That's for digital marketing, signage, and using that logo. Is there any other restrictions or limitations to use that brand if you're just going to like put a sign on your barn or anything like that?
Yeah, we have a few items that we are able to send out to folks that already have the branding on it. And then when you are approved to be part of Pick Tennessee products, you'll get an automated email that gives you all of the rules of how to use it properly and what you can and can't do with it. So off the top of my head, I don't think these have changed recently. Pretty much you can do what you want with it as long as you're not putting it on items that are for sale outside of a product label. So you can put it on a label that's on a jar of jam that you're selling, but you can't put it on a t-shirt that you're going to sell as a Pick Tennessee Products t-shirt. Does that make sense?
Okay, thanks. Yeah. There's additional question in the chat box. I don't know if you can see that.
I am not able to see that.
It says the link that was sent out for Farm Veteran Coalition to Pick Tennessee, I believe, is not working. Oh, they found it. Farmvetco.org. HBH is actually. So thank you, Bountiful Acres Farm. They sent out a new link instead of the one that was on the slide.
Okay, thank you for that. I'll have to make sure I update that. I'm sorry that was wrong. Okay, so next we're going to talk about the Tennessee Ag Enhancement Program, and this can get a little bit overwhelming at times. So I'm going to try to do a high-level overview of this program, and if you have questions, we can definitely go through those. And then sometimes it needs to be a one-on-one thing, and we could definitely set up consultations for that as well. So TAEP has two main programs. One is called Application A, and the other is called Producer Diversification. This program started back in 2005. Its main goal is to provide cost share dollars to agriculture producers for the purpose of making long-term investments into farms. And you can see here on the screen just some stats on how many dollars we've been able to invest into operations over the number of different projects we've produced and the impact it has on local economies. So these are the program areas. Everything in red is what we call application A. And then in blue, we have producer diversification. They're really like two separate programs, even though they're both fall under the Tennessee Ag Enhancement Program. So we're going to start by talking about application A, which is everything you see in red here. And this is more of your large scale production, row crop and livestock agriculture is found in application A. Oh, here's the eligibility. A lot of basic stuff that you would think: U.S. citizen, 18 years old, Tennessee resident. You need to be filing a Schedule F for your taxes. Only one operation or only one application per operation. So you can't have two brothers that are running the same farm, both apply. It's one application per operation. There is some minimum livestock and acreage requirements. We're going to go over that next. There is educational requirements. We're going to go over that as well. And then there is a 5-year verification period. So the items that are funded through this cost share program should have a 5-year use for them. And there is a process of verification for that. So here is the different minimum requirements for the various areas for this program. So you can see cattle is 30 head, goats and sheep 50, equids are 20, hay is 100 acres, swine is 1,000. So this is really a large scale swine producer program. Poultry is 10,000 a year for non-broilers, 75,000 a year for broilers. So this, again, this is for large scale commercial poultry growers. And then there's row crop for the minimum of 100 acres. There is a beginning farmer option just under the genetics and livestock equipment areas. And you can see they have a reduced number of head that they need to meet the minimum requirements for that option. So beginning farmer has all of the basic eligibility requirements that TAEP has. They also need to be a first-time applicant to participate in that beginning farmer option, be farming for less than 10 years. Their education requirements include taking either the UT Farming Fundamentals program or the TSU New Farmer Academy. You may have sessions throughout this about what those classes are. if you're not familiar with them, they are run through extension services of those two universities, and they are phenomenal courses for people who are just getting started in agriculture. I recommend both of them to anybody who is looking to get started and isn't quite sure what to do or how to get started or what you need to know in order to be successful. Both of those programs are really helpful. And then you saw the reduced minimum head requirements, and then also it still has that same 5-year verification period. You can apply under the beginning farmer option for 2 consecutive years. So the year 1, all of these requirements would be required. Year 2, the only one that drops off is being a first-time applicant. That is waived if you are applying for a second time through this program. So I mentioned there's education requirements to be a part of this program. So these vary by program areas, and they're going to be related to the program area you are applying for. That is all listed on the TAP website, which when we get through the end of the slides for this section, I am going to pull up the website and show it to you all so you can see where you can find all of the detailed information about this program. It's important to know that your education courses do not need to be obtained by the time of application, just at the time of reimbursement requestment. They have to be within the last 3 years, and the name on the course certificate must match the person applying for TAP. You can find those master courses on these websites here, either from the University of Tennessee or Tennessee State University, for whichever program you are looking at taking. So this is a 50% cost share program. It's on a reimbursement basis. The maximum amounts that can be reimbursed also vary by program area, and they range from as small as $3,000 in the genetics program up to $12,000 in the row crop solutions. Most of them are in between the $4,000 to $5,000 range, but all of those are listed on the website, and they could vary year to year. It's not guaranteed what that is. It's all based on funding availability that we have in the budget year to year. They typically don't change too often, but it's not guaranteed that they're the same year after year. That information does get posted on our website by Labor Day of each year. The TAP website will be fully updated for the October application period by Labor Day. So right now, everything on there is from last year's application period. And like I said, it doesn't change too much year to year, but know that once Labor Day comes, any changes that could happen will be posted by Labor Day. And the application period is October 1st through 7th every year. That never changes. And then folks are typically notified mid-December on if their application was approved. And then there's a deadline to submit your reimbursement for your product or your project. And that's also going to vary by program area. And they're really great about communicating that and making sure everybody knows what the deadlines are. So no need to worry about that, but those dates are on the website as well. This is the contact information for the different coordinators of those programs. So I know very high level information on this program. If you have a really detailed question that you want to know about the Dairy Solutions program or the livestock equipment program, these are the folks you're going to want to reach out to get those really detailed questions answered for you. Okay. Before we go on to the second part of TAP, were there any questions in the chat on that one? Doesn't look like it. So the second side of TAP is what we call producer diversification. Sometimes we call it application B, but most likely you're going to hear producer diversification be shared. The goal of this program is very similar to the other one, make long-term investments into farms, and it's looking at 6 different sectors of agriculture. So agritourism, fruit and vegetable, honeybee, horticulture, organic production, and value-added products. It's 50% cost share up to $12,000. That's what it's been the last several years. But again, that could change year to year. And by Labor Day, we will know if that amount is going to change. But for the last several years, it has been up to that $12,000. Very similar requirements to be able to apply for this. There are some sectors that require specific things, like honeybee has some specific requirements that other areas don't. That's going to be having your apiary registered. There's a minimum number of hives that are required. And again, all of these special requirements that are detailed to each of the different sectors are on the website. There is education requirements as well. These also vary by sector and are related to the sector you are applying for. And then it also has the 5-year verification period. The application for producer diversification looks a little different than application A. It requires a narrative proposal, and there's a template available on the website that you can download ahead of time before the application period that has all the same questions. It's going to ask you for a history and background on your farm. It's going to ask for a marketing plan. It's going to ask for what project you're doing and a description of it and why it's going to benefit your operation. It's also going to ask for a line item budget and quotes that reflect that budget. So you do need to reach out to vendors and get quotes for whatever you're wanting to purchase ahead of time. And then other supporting documents as necessary, whether that be mock-ups and pictures or designs of what you are proposing for in your application. It has the same application period, October 1st through 7th. Anna Grace is the coordinator for this, and that is her email. And then I always like to put this little reminder in here. If you applied and were approved last year, you have until August 1st of this year to request a reimbursement on your product or your project that you were approved for. I have a little asterisk there because that's only for producer diversification. Application A has different deadlines. So I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment, and I'm going to pull up the website so we can walk through that briefly. Okay. Y'all should be seeing the department's homepage. Is that showing right for everyone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So from the homepage, you'll look under Farms for Tennessee Ag Enhancement Program. It's the first thing on that drop-down menu. And then all of the information that you could ever possibly need to know about the program is listed here. Some important things to look at is under producer programs here on the side, it's going to drop down all of the different things. So if you are looking for livestock equipment, you can click on that. It's going to show you everything you need to know and the requirements for that specific program here. You can even open up this file here, and it's going to give you a list of items that you can apply for and a list of items that are not going to be competitive and shouldn't be applied for. It's also going to have the education requirements for that specific program listed here as well. Same thing if we were to go over to producer diversification. So on their page, it'll have the different sectors drop down over here. This document here is where you can download that worksheet and start working on your questions ahead of time before October 1st through 7th. And I always recommend to folks that you download this, you type out your answers here ahead of time. And then when you got them the way you want them, you can copy and paste them over to the application portal, which happens online through our website. So when the application period opens, the homepage will get a large button that says apply here, and you click on it and it opens the online application. It will also on this page, so let's say we click on agritourism. Same thing like in the livestock equipment, it's going to show you who's eligible to be an agritourism application, what are your education requirements that you need to be part of the agritourism program, and then what are some eligible items that you can apply for and what are some items that you shouldn't be applying for. So it's all here. You just have to look for it and find the different sub pages of the program to find it. But all the details are here. And you can always reach out to myself or the coordinator for the program you're interested in to ask any questions that you may have. Any questions on TAP before we move on from that section? the PowerPoint pulled back up. Okay, is the PowerPoint back on the screen for everyone?
It is.
Okay. All right. So our other two grant programs that we have, they're also cost share programs. They're called the Ag Enterprise Fund. We often say AEF for short, and Ag Track. These are competitive grant programs for ag businesses. So they're agriculture, food, or forestry businesses. Nonprofits are able to apply. Local governments and other entities are also eligible to apply. The main thing here is we're looking for projects that benefit other producers or forest landowners, not just a single operation. They're very similar in that they have the same goals and same priorities within their programs. They just fund projects at different dollar amounts. So Ag Enterprise Fund has no minimum project cost. It's 25% cost share up to just under $500,000. And then it has the next deadline to apply for this is July 10th, and it's a quarterly application. So every 3 months you can apply, or there's an opportunity to apply for this program. AgTrack does have a minimum capital expenditure of $2 million. So it's not going to fund any project whose total budget is not over $2 million. It's 25% cost share up to $1 million. And it has a deadline of June 30th. And again, it's quarterly as well. So every 3 months you can have the opportunity to apply through this program. So there are 6 main categories that you can apply through within this program. You can apply in more than one, you can apply in just one. So those are going to be increase to farm income, increase access to markets, increase capacity, ag innovation, and then 2 newer ones that just got added in the last month or so are promotion of Tennessee agriculture and industry specific research studies in market exploration. Are 2 new areas that we now fund through this program. Oh, here's just some general things to know. You must be a Tennessee entity to apply. There must be a demonstration of the impact the project will have in one or more of those categories from the previous slide. There is priority given to those using Tennessee inputs when applicable. So that's not a requirement for everyone, but there is that competitiveness if you're using Tennessee inputs with your project. You do need to provide a detailed budget throughout the application. And then proof of financing is something that's part of these 2 programs that's not part of TAP, in that the application will ask you to provide proof of financing for your portion of the project. So it only funds 25%. The committee wants to see what are your plans for financing the remaining 75%. Do you have self-financing? Do you have a financial institution that's lending you money? How are you going to be able to follow through and finish the project for your portion of the funding? It also asks for a project timeline of when you think you're going to get it done. There's a 2-year period with these projects that projects must be completed within. So if, say, you apply in the July 10th round of AEF, you typically know within 6 weeks to 2 months after that you are whether you are approved or not. And then you go into a grant contract with the Department of Agriculture. Once that grant contract is finalized, you then have 2 years to complete the project. So the timeline there wants to kind of see what are your project milestones to be able to complete the project within the time frame that's allotted. It also asks for a business plan as part of the application. And then again, like TAP, there is a 5-year verification period on anything that gets funded through these programs. Okay, questions on AEF and AgTrack? The last grant I want to talk about is the Specialty Crop Block Grant. This is a USDA block grant that they give funds to all 50 states to administer their portion of it. So we are in charge of administering the Tennessee portion of funds for this grant. So kind of how that works, big picture, is USDA lots us a certain amount of money. We accept applications for those. We review them internally as a department. There's a committee that's formed to review those. And then the department will put together our plan of proposals and applications that we would like to fund. And then it gets sent to USDA and they have the final approval on who gets funded and who doesn't. Typically they go with our recommendation of what we would like to fund through our Tennessee committee. So these projects are ones that are going to have a larger impact than a single operation. We typically see research projects that are happening here. They're usually the most competitive ones that are looking to either solve a need or provide something that is missing from an industry, or do research on a production method or a variety that could be available. Those kinds of things typically are the most competitive within specialty crop block grant. They're going to be industry-wide impact is what they're looking for through this program of specialty crops specifically. And if you're not sure what a specialty crop is, they're defined as fruits, vegetables, tree nuts, dried fruits, horticulture, and nursery crops. In the USDA website, we'll list all those out individually as well. Those are kind of some overarching categories of what a specialty crop is. Okay. Any questions on specialty crop block grant? Okay. The last thing I want to share is our new Farmer Veteran Toolkit that we have. This is a web page that was created a little over a year ago. We were very fortunate in the department to get a Governor's Veterans Fellow to work with us for part of the year. His name was Cody, and he did a fantastic job putting together this website for us. It was something that I had been wanting done for our veteran community for a while, and I really wanted it to be a one-stop shop for every resource you could want to know or need to know or didn't know that you needed to know when you're getting started in agriculture and making that transition out of military service into being in agriculture. I know my husband's a veteran, so I know that transition can feel overwhelming when you're leaving the military and you're figuring out your next steps and what your next chapter is going to be. So we wanted it to be as easy as possible to find all of the resources that you needed to know or be aware of to be successful in agriculture. So these are the categories of that web page, and I am going to pull it up so y'all can see it. So it's super easy to find. I actually just usually go to Google and just type in Tennessee Department of Ag Farmer Veteran. And it should be the top hit on the page or the top hit on Google. And this is what it looks like when you come to it. So each of these sections here will drop down. So permitting, it's got some generals, starting a new business in Tennessee from the Department of Revenue. It's got our UT and TSU extension. It's got some Farm Bureau publications, and then it breaks it down by different categories. So plant certification, what possible permitting you might not need all of these. You most likely don't need all of these, but all of the different licenses we have there, and then a link to where you find more information of them. And then it breaks it down further by different categories. Our education here will have all those master courses we were talking about. It will have some USDA beginning farmer resources, different things. AgVOLs is listed here. You all already know about that. Center for Profitable Agriculture is a great resource for those of you doing value added. UT Center for Farm Management, I'm sure Erin has shared all about what her and her team do. And then TSU's got some stuff here as well. And then grants are listed here. So it's got every grant out there, the ones we talked about, plus some of our other ones that we have offered through the department. It's got a section for just general Tennessee veteran benefits that aren't necessarily related to agriculture, but would be useful to all veterans. And then it's got a section on different producer associations. So I really recommend, if you are going to get into agriculture, building your community of folks to help support you along that journey. So Farmer Veteran Coalition is a great resource to join for veterans in agriculture. And then I also would recommend joining an industry specific one as well. So if you're going to be doing livestock, you want to look into the Beef Council or Cattlemen's Association. If you're looking to get into beekeeping, joining the Tennessee Beekeepers. Agritourism's got an association, corn does, and there's an association for every sector within agriculture. And these links will take you to where you can learn more about them. And then the final section is some really fun testimonies from some of our farmer veterans who have utilized programs that we offer and the benefit and things they've gotten out of being part of these different groups and utilizing the grants that we have. So that's a fun section to read through as well. Let's see. I think it's trying to pull my PowerPoint back up. Go. So that is what I have for y'all tonight. I know that can sometimes feel like drinking from a fire hydrant with a lot of information, and we really just kind of stayed at the high level view of it all. But I am glad to always jump on a call and talk one-on-one about diving deeper into any of these resources.